Hey, welcome to vlog number 14. This is Leslie with Comfortable Shoes Studio, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. I had planned on doing a whole series of episodes on RSVP about imposter syndrome, so I've done a lot of research. One of the great things about getting your master's degree, any sort of readings you do about any interest, you can call it research. But anyway, I did a lot of research on imposter syndrome, and I've got some thoughts on it. So Amanda Palmer in The Art of Asking calls it the fraud police. Danny Gregory in Shut Your Monkey calls the feeling his monkey. And what is it? What is imposter syndrome? It's not something you'll actually find listed in the DSM, and it's not anything you can officially be diagnosed with. It's a constellation of symptoms that look and feel a lot like generalized anxiety disorder. So anxious feelings, worry, pervasive worry, intrusive thoughts about the things that you're worried about, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into the whole generalized anxiety disorder diagnosis or symptom list. You can Google that and find the whole DSM online. They're focused on your ability to perform a task, and we're talking about art and creativity here, so I'm just going to stick to that. It's a general idea that you don't feel good enough to buy or even use the materials that you purchase or even show your artwork. Maybe so you don't make art, you don't feel good enough to buy anything, or you look at those Malto markers you've been eyeballing, or you buy one, you feel guilty for spending the $6 and decide to wait to use it on the right art piece, or when you feel right to use it, you open your new sketchbook and look at that big beautiful white page and decide that using it would be ruining it. Maybe you fight your way through all of that bullshit to make the art, only to shove it in a binder and then under your bed because you tell yourself it's not good enough. It's not good enough to show. It's crap art, so on and so forth. Maybe you don't call yourself an artist at all. Maybe you don't want to call yourself anything when it comes to art. All that is imposter syndrome, and I use those examples because I gave them because those are things I've felt in terms of art and art making. I struggled for years to call myself an artist, and I am an artist. I think anyone who has looked at my art or who has subscribed to this channel knows that I'm an artist. And every time I open my journal or my sketchbooks, I fight the why bother. Why bother making the art? Until I can no longer fight my need to make art, because for me it is a need, it's a necessary thing. But going back to imposter syndrome, and it was really developed for the workplace, and it was took the fairly, that feeling when you go into the work of, kind of discomfort of like not fitting in, second guessing yourself, and mild anxiety, for workplace performance, and looked at it in terms of women. The original sort of study about it was done with white women in a workplace who were, highly competent women. And then they took those feelings and they pathologized it instead of looking at the workplace and changing it. So really, what these things are generally continual systemic behaviors from the workplace towards you. And if you look at it in terms of creativity, where in your past did you start questioning your artistic capabilities? Where in your past, when did you start questioning whether or not you were an artist, that you were worthy of using your art materials? And I think that's something where we can think about in terms of art and imposter syndrome. Where did we learn this behavior? Because I think a lot of imposter syndrome is learned behavior, is conditioned behavior, and it's classic conditioning. You pick up that art marker, you pick up that sketchbook, and you don't feel good enough. And why don't you feel good enough? Because someone somewhere in your past made you feel like you weren't good enough to make the art, to do the art. And it's important, I think, for us to think about that, because if something is a conditioned behavior or a learned behavior, you can unlearn it. And it's hard. I'm not gonna pretend that imposter syndrome is an easy thing to battle or work against, but it is something that we can work with to undermine that sense of imposter syndrome, that sense that you're not good enough for your art materials, that you're not good enough with art. You feel like you're competent and you contribute to the art world. And you do. Every single time you open up your sketchbook, you are contributing to the art world. Every time you open your art journal and you're thinking, you're contributing in a positive way to your life. And I'm going to leave it there on imposter syndrome for this vlog. And I hope you'll come back and watch the next episode. I'm going to talk more about imposter syndrome. Thank all of you who have contributed to my Ko-fi with coffees. I appreciate it a lot. And I still want to thank my brother for hooking me up with this laptop, because without it, I wouldn't be making this vlog. Thanks, everyone.